This is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings and all things Chicago Blackhawks. With your hosts, Jordan Linscott, David Barnhouse, Nick LePage, and Tim Stompanato. This is the Stick Blade Podcast. All right, let me put us all live real quick.
Yep. Where'd Nick go?
Is he not in here?
I'm here.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I looked up. I was like, "Hey, he's gone."
No, I'm here. I had to lower something.
Hey.
Da 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 da.
Dun, dun.
I'm gonna start reaching out to like SoundCloud artists just to see if we can get like a song.
That'd be rad.
Fucking chair. This chair sucks.
There we go.
Doing its best.
All right, you guys ready?
I'm ready. I don't know about him. He's playing with his chair.
I'm ready. Oh, let's go. Let's pitter patter.
Let's get at her.
All right.
Digging the mustache over there, Tim.
Thank you.
Love it.
Appreciate
Love
it.
it. Love it.
Wanted to try something different for a bit.
I'm loving it.
I feel good about it actually.
All right,
I'm
everybody.
working on it. Oh, sorry.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. It is your place for all things Red Wings and Blackhawks, as well as news around the NHL. For tonight's host, Jordan Linscott, for my co-host, Tim Stompanato, and Nick LePage. Welcome to the show, everybody. Normally, this is a Red Wings and a Blackhawks podcast, but unfortunately, there's not really a ton of Wings news this week. So we're not touching on the Wings, sadly enough. But you know what? There's a lot of interesting news for the Blackhawks. The two pieces of news that I really want to talk about in particular, Jonathan Toews' return to the organization, basically missed all of this past season due to, at the time, an undisclosed illness. And then also the blue line anchor himself, Duncan Keith, looking to get traded to somewhere else. You've got two very big names having stuff happen with your clubs this week, fellas.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not a lot of news, but what it lacks in quantity, it makes up for in giant bombshells. Which one of these you want to tackle first, Nick?
I mean, I feel like we should start with the positives. I don't want to start off too depressing on this episode because we got.
I dig it. Let's lead with something uplifting. And
First off, hold on, guys.
Oh.
Let's congratulate Jordan over here. He is a happily married
Yeah.
human being.
Our wonderful Jordan Linscott got himself married yesterday. This is very, very exciting. Congrats, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're happy for you, man.
Thrilled.
How's first day being married?
It's exciting. I made a deal with her already. I'm like, I gotta have the show with the boys. So I'm gonna take like an hour away. I promise it's not gonna be like a thing every single week where I just basically leave you alone. It's just today. We're gonna have the whole rest of the week, so that'll be fun. It's good though. It's very different. It's weird not having the house to myself anymore.
I would imagine a lot of new changes. I didn't realize up until recently that you two weren't living together. So that's a huge step. The
I
whole
kind of
thing
joke.
is,
It's like the SpongeBob meme where like something happens and he's like sitting there in like the loincloth with like, what's going on? Every time I hear something in the house now, I do that.
My girlfriend and I joke that we've got to wear bells as we walk around the house because we keep jumping and somebody opens a door and it's like, oh, I forget that I live with somebody.
But no, I like it. It's so far. It's it's very different, but I mean, it's exciting, and I don't know. I'm just looking to see where it goes.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna
That-
last a lifetime here, man. Let's say,
Hey, we'll just take it as it
positive.
comes.
Yeah. No, I mean, hey, obviously me and Tim are both happy for you, man.
Absolutely.
I know we've been doing this thing virtually for this whole podcast, Jordan. I've actually got to meet you once in person, but like, yeah, like this is like a family. So yeah, we're thrilled. We're thrilled for you.
Yeah.
For anybody who's planning on having a summer wedding, I'm gonna do you a favor and give you a piece of advice right now. If it's gonna be outside, don't pick on a day that's gonna be 90 degrees outside with
It's a pro
suits.
strat.
Not a fun time.
Hold on, let me take notes real quick.
But you did wear a white tux though.
I
So
did.
I saw the picture, so that was smart. If it's gonna be a 90-degree day in the sun, at least it's not one of those like all black tuxes where you're just like, well, I'm just gonna shrivel up and die, I guess.
But anyway, let's stop talking about me. Let's go ahead and actually get to the show.
I think that's the biggest news of this week.
That's the biggest news. But a close runner-up is the fact that our beloved Chicago Blackhawks captain Jonathan Toews has arisen. He's been seen. He's talking to people again. He's opened up a lot about his illness and the past year and his goal. He wants to continue to highlight his goal is to be ready for this coming season.
And I'm trying to remember the exact phrasing that was used to describe what's going on with Toews. But
Chronic immune response syndrome.
Which a lot of people are also finding is like coming up as chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which is a very similar description catch-all of what he's been dealing with.
And from what I've been reading, basically it hits everybody different. And that's what makes it so hard to diagnose is like a lot of diseases or illnesses, it has a set list of typical symptoms, but it's not all inclusive. And that makes it kind of hard to diagnose.
And it's basically described in a lot of ways as like your body is constantly in fight mode.
Yeah.
Where you just, and he attributes a lot of it to stress, the way he said that like he didn't really feel good throughout his 20s, which is super bizarre to hear because he's always taken such good care of his body.
Yeah.
But like he said that all of a sudden just he thinks that he had, from that interview he did with Lazarus, he feels like he had COVID back in the February before it really got big. And that it's long haul effects because there's a lot of similarities between COVID long haul. And that was the straw that broke years and years of buildup of stress and injuries and treating his body, putting his body through war basically time and time again. And he said it wasn't even just his body. It was this fatigue, this lack of energy, this brain fog. And it manifested as like, he felt like his body and his mind were betraying him. And that's got to be, I get why he didn't want to talk to anyone because that's terrifying.
Yeah. And especially because it says it, I did some research on it, obviously, once it first came out or when he first announced it. It can affect any organ in the body too. Like this is not just his lungs, his heart. It could affect it all in all concepts. So yeah, it's a scary situation for Jonathan Toews. I could understand why he wanted the privacy that he did. Just because he himself didn't really know what was going on, just because it's like one thing after another. One day he might feel good. The next day he's like, oh, I'm tired. I can't do anything. I have no will. And yeah, it's a scary situation. And, I'm happy that he's actually open enough to actually bring it to the public.
Right.
And like, he's like, thank you. And he said to the fans, he said, thank you for caring about me. Thank you for respecting for my privacy. But this is what happened, and this is how I'm going to go about it. And I plan to be back at United Center in October.
But I'm also glad to hear that he's like, that's my plan, but I've got to listen to my body.
Yeah.
And I've got to do right by me, which like, that's not a given with hockey players. It's something we're starting to see more of, because he talked about like Crawford's retirement, Shaw's retirement, Seabrook's retirement. He's like, those are all really still early careers. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, they were 40 and they retired. Those are still, they had stuff left in the tank. And he's like, they had to go, they had to retire. So I talked with some of the, it's like that's sort of where he's at, where it's like I want to get back out there, but I'm glad that he has said like I'm gonna listen to my body.
Yeah, and it's important too because like he's like you said, he's always been the like as healthy as could be, and like this is obviously thrown him for a shell shock.
Yeah, he's sort of who I think of when it's like, oh yeah, I treat my body like a temple. Like the man really does.
Yeah, him and Tom Brady, like they're the first
Yep.
two athletes that come to mind. So
That's exactly it.
scary situation. It was a tough year without our captain, and
but it's so good to hear he's
yeah,
at least doing better.
just to hear him talk to the public, and because it was always just on the mind, speculation, rumors, all this stuff was thrown out there. Obviously, we didn't want to address it on this podcast because we're
not going to peddle in rumors and
because there was all this stuff was thrown around. I don't even want to mention it. We know what it is. We know how he's feeling now, and we know his goals. So obviously, we were just hoping for the best of his health going forward. And it'd just be an extra added bonus that we see Taser back with the Hawks and wearing that C on his chest again.
I love it. Made me so happy to hear him talking. That said, I did want to bring up a really interesting point because I know we talked about it during the playoffs with Vegas last year. That part where he's talking in the beginning of the article where he's like, yeah, and game 3 of Vegas, like 82 seconds left in the game.
Carlton, yeah.
And it was a big face-off, and he didn't put he put Strome out there and not Toews. And after the game, it's like, oh, I looked down the line, saw that Toews was pretty gassed. He had just come back up from a shift, put Strome out there, and Chicago lambasted him. Like, oh, it's Colleton being, this schmuck and this young guy, yada, yada, yada. And like, look, we also were kind of perplexed by that. We weren't as hard as some, but we were certainly like, that's Captain Clutch.
Yeah.
That's the guy. And now to hear Toews be like, that was my decision. Jeremy took the heat. He covered for me. He did all this. And so like, it reminds me to like check myself a little bit because we don't know what's on the bench. We have no idea. We know what we see, but we have no idea sometimes what's going on over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was always this rumor that, like you said, that Toews hates Colleton.
Right.
It was always like, oh, yeah, he's pissed at Colleton. Like, he doesn't get to Toews.
He didn't even look at him as he walked out. Like,
and it's, I mean, that's captain being captain. I mean, he's like, yeah, that's my coach. I'm going to stick up for him. Yeah. I mean, and the one last thing on him, I know we could go on and on about him. Yeah. I know we're happy to have him back, but the last time we seen Jonathan Toews, he had 9 points in 9 games in the playoffs.
100%. It was one of his best resurgences in like a while. And that's feeling, because he even said, he's like, yeah, I know people are like, oh, you must have been feeling good then for that and bad for Vegas. He goes, no, I felt equally terrible for both. Like, you're an animal, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Jordan, from an outsider perspective, what are you seeing?
So I obviously like that Toews is back. I like the fact that he took the time off to take care of himself. That's obviously positive. I would expect that out of anybody in any profession. I do want to say temper your expectations when he comes back. I know a lot of fans are going to want, as you put it, Captain Clutch.
Yeah. Just jump back out there. Yep.
But you got to temper expectations. This guy hasn't played for a year, and he's also still, we don't know for sure 100% from his injuries. He may not jump in and instantly be your top line centerman, Selke nominee guy. And you know what? That's okay. The Hawks don't need to win the Stanley Cup this coming year. I mean, that's not our goal. We'll talk about it later, but with Keith moving, it's kind of a signal that they might not be looking to win this year. And it's okay if Toews comes back and he's not the number one guy. I like the fact that he's coming back, but I also like the fact that he tempered expectations and said, I'm skating. He didn't say I'm competing for top line.
He didn't say I've put on, all the muscle that I lost in a year of not working out and just like healing myself. Like because in the video, like he did, he looked a little skinnier and he looked like he hasn't been working out like we do. And I'm the worst at it. I'm already building up this mind of like, he's going to get back on the ice and he's just going to like lead it. Like, no, let him ease back in, let him start on like the third or second. Like, honestly, I think this is the perfect time to put Doc as the number one and Toews as the number two and start shifting those responsibilities. Get him, take some time on. You don't need to put him, even if he's on the penalty kill, he doesn't need to be on or put him on the power play and not on the penalty kill. Like, this is the perfect time and the perfect reason to start scaling back a little bit for Toews and for the team. So I'm just glad he's back, and I don't even care. I'm just excited that he's going to get on the ice. If he gets on the ice, there's so many ifs, but yeah, I'm just hyped.
It's just good to hear from him, and we hope more positivity from this offseason in his progress, and it's just great to hear from him because it's been a while. And I mean, I think it's a good point. Like you said with the ice, you have him back in the locker room whenever he's ready. He can mentor Kirby Doc from right away, like personally, not just from like
right, exactly.
He's there, and I mean, even on the ice, and it's a mismatch. Like say, if Toews is on your second line or he's on your third line, hey, you got quite the third line, second line center there. So. Great to hear from Toews. We are thrilled to see him progressing along and, come out publicly about this and finally being comfortable and just, addressing everything and what he's going through. So, again, just wish the best for Taser and, continue improving his health going forward.
Absolutely.
I mean, one thing in particular I would really like to see Chicago do with him this season is I actually wouldn't mind if they took him off the centerman position and put him on the wing. And I think that's good for two reasons. One, you're not like centermen are arguably skating around farther. They're having to be more responsible on the ice. It's just strictly speaking a harder cardio workout and a harder strength workout. But also the fact that you throw him on the wing with a centerman like a young Kirby Doc, for example, you kind of force Kirby Doc to pick up the slack in that scenario. You kind of force him to grow, and you've got the guy who's been the number one coaching you saying, these are the decisions you made wrong. These are the decisions you made that were right. Or you can sort of put him in those positions of like, hey, I'm going to start getting into the positions you should have your wingers expected to be. Let's see if you start making the right decisions on your own. I think that could be an interesting thing that the Hawks do to force some of these young guys to learn.
It wouldn't be new for him. He played left wing for Canada.
Yeah, and like that worked wonders for Claude Giroux in Philly. He had been center for a while, and then they shifted him over to wing, and it was like a resurgence of his career.
Yeah, I mean, I think to start, I wouldn't hate that idea just because we've seen Suter play center. We've seen if Strome is part of the plan going forward, we see him there. Pia Suter, Kurashev, Kirby Doc, obviously, like
Reichel. Yeah, I mean we've got people that can slot in, especially if you put Toews on that line where he could potentially also take faceoffs, which is not unrealistic. I don't hate that. Actually, it could help develop our top six. Again, any way they get him back in the lineup, I'm happy. I'm not questioning anything for a little bit. They've bought me a lot of goodwill with that.
Yeah, it's good to hear from him. I'm just stoked. Well, for that part, I mean, then we get to this
hard news.
Yeah.
So
complete 180.
So Jonathan Toews arrived this past, week or two. Duncan Keith looks to be leaving.
Sunrise, sunset.
So for anyone who hasn't really been paying attention to it, Duncan Keith has been with the Blackhawks for since 2002, I think it was that we looked up.
2002 he was drafted.
So the guy slotted in, went through the minors for a couple of years, comes up to the NHL, instantly becomes a fixture on the Blackhawks blue line, anchors it, wins a Conn Smythe. He's won, 2 Norris trophies?
2 Norrises.
Like literally he was the number one defenseman for Chicago, that elite number one franchise level defenseman. But like everybody in the NHL, the clock comes for you. He's getting older. He's got a kid he wants to be close to, real life happens. And he's sort of told the Hawks organization, look, I want to be closer to my family. It's not this guy's getting forced out because he can't
Right.
keep up at the NHL level anymore. It's not this situation of there's bad blood with management. It's just people get older. Real life happens. There's more to life than just your professional career.
Well, and we talked about this a little bit before the show. Think about the last year. His son lives full time in Canada with the pandemic and the way the borders have been closed. He couldn't see his kid. Like, you're 37 years old, you got this young kid. I don't know, that really changes perspective. And I think if you're Duncan Keith, you look around a little bit, you're like, I'm 37. I've won my cups. I've given everything to Chicago. I love this team, but like Toews in a different way, I got to do right by me and by my family. I I am bummed. The idea of seeing Keith in anything but a Hawk sweater kills me. But I also, man, it's his kid, and he wants to be near his kid. And it's like he's only requesting, like, I want to be traded to either Pacific Northwest or more realistically Western Canada. It's not like he's like, I want to trade out. I'll go anywhere. Send me to Toronto. It's, I want to be near my kid. And for a guy that's done so much for this organization and brought us so much, you do right by him.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. Like, he's an alternate captain. I mean, just because he's an A doesn't describe the type of leader he is. And also, I mean, to add on to the point, yeah, the kid and with COVID, the pandemic, his best friend's not on the team anymore. His best friend retired, and we always imagined that Keith would probably be the first domino to fall. If this is a move that a rebuilding team does, and it sucks, it hurts, and just like we've seen legends go, and we've seen Seabrook retire, we've seen Crawford leave and then retire. We've seen Shaw retire.
I was gonna say, even guys like seeing Jalmerson leave, who was 3 cups, Sharp leaving and then, retiring with 3 cups, Hossa, the legends and the dominoes have already been falling. Keith, the thing about Keith, which is different from a lot of them, is that he has a very reasonable cap hit, given the fact that he is still of quality top 4 defenseman. It's not like, oh, we're doing a solid to this guy and like it's a bad contract, and so we'll pay somebody to take him. It's whoever gets Keith, they're going to have a top 4 defenseman, someone that if they play right and don't don't obliterate into the dust like we do, they're going to have an improvement to their blue line over what they had before for a reasonable cap hit.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Keith's going against the top line every night, every single night, and a very subpar Blackhawks team.
And he's skating for 2. I mean, he's usually racking up like 26, 28 minutes a night, carrying an 18 or 19-year-old kid. It's bonkers to me what he's been able to do in spite of all that.
So I mean, obviously the rumors are developing. It's starting to kind of hit home. Like this is probably going to happen. And,
I mean, everything I'm hearing is Edmonton's the front runner, which it makes sense actually.
Yeah, I mean, Western Canada, closer to his family, on the other side of the border, and it fits his window of he still wants to be on a competitive team. We seen Edmonton.
Yeah. I absolutely, I'm just building on what you said. I absolutely agree. I think that he takes Edmonton to that next step.
Yeah.
I think that they're still a goalie away, but they're realistically a solid, competent top 4 defenseman that can eat some minutes away from being a legitimate playoff contender. And even that helps, again, if you've got Mike Smith or something like that can stop, he's not going to lose you a game. He's just not going to steal you a game. But if you've got a stronger, Nurse, Keith, Bear, Bouchard, Clefbaum when he comes back,
Broberg, Philip Broberg, he's in the system.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Larson is an unrestricted free agent, correct?
Yes. So, I mean, it fits. It's a
that's a good. My theory. I was telling Jordan about this before you hopped on. My theory is, oh no, you were there for that. they get a middle team, and they do a trade where we retain a little bit of salary, middle team retains a decent chunk of salary, and Edmonton ends up getting Keith for like $2 or $3 million a year. And then I think realistically at that point, getting a top 4 defenseman for $2 to $3 million, we get their first round pick, which they are going to hope is they're in the playoffs and it's a late first rounder. I think that's realistic.
With it being Edmonton, like we said, like we talked before the show, who knows what could happen?
That's exactly. I mean, Holland will swing.
Yeah, I mean, I know Jordan's hoping that middleman team would be the Red Wings, so he could get that number 2.
It makes sense.
That number 2 Duncan Keith jersey.
I'm not even gonna lie, I would.
He's like, hey, he was there. He was here for about 5 minutes. It was
Yeah,
fun.
he had to do a layover stop.
Yeah, he had to come through, wave to the fans, sign a couple of autographs. But no, apparently the names being thrown around with Keith is Kyle Turris and Caleb Jones as the players involved in the other side of the deal. Caleb Jones, the only thing that makes sense is
Jones I could get down with.
Yeah, he's still young. He's 24. And obviously the Blackhawks are targeting Seth Jones, which is well-known information now. So, yeah, I mean, anything if the Hawks do plan on trading for Seth Jones, then it's like, hey, we got your brother. You could sign here for longer.
It is not the first team, again, not the first time the Hawks have done that, and certainly not the first team to do that. That happens so often. I don't think I want Turris. That doesn't help us in any way, I don't think.
I mean, I think it's just part of eating some salary. Well, he was drafted the same year as Kane, too. I mean, that's
the bonkers thing, right? He was
kind
like
of come full circle. He was
third
like 3.
overall
Yeah,
pick.
he was 3. So it kind of life would come full circle because I mean I think the Hawks were weighing between Kyle Turris and Patrick Kane that year, and it's like, oh, okay, well this all came together.
Just pick up JVR and it's going to be a little reunion.
Yeah, right. I mean, and that was a rumor for a while too.
Oh
so, yeah. Obviously, it's painful to talk about this just because
we love him. I mean, it's Keith,
and he's always mentioned how he loves Chicago. Chicago's his home. But like, if this is the first domino to be traded in this rebuild, it's not shocking because it was one of those names that's always been tossed around. So,
and it's for a good reason. Yeah. I think that's the thing that is letting me be at peace with this. It's like Jordan said, it's not he's not being pushed out. There isn't a rift or anything like that. He's not, there's nothing to read into. It's, I want to see my kid. Yeah. That I can live with that.
Yep, me too. It's and we're just gonna enjoy the time that he's still on the Hawks right now.
I'll pop on my 17 seconds DVD and
I guess what we've been through this last year as Hawks fans with Seabrook, Crawford, Shaw, and now possibly Keith. Cherish it, cherish these guys that we have them. Because who knows when they're gonna be leaving this team. So
and also, boy, does it put in perspective. Kane is a miracle.
Yeah.
Because he ain't slowed down.
No, not at all.
Everyone else from that entire era is like beaten into the ground. Their bones are and then there's Kane. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, cool. 18-year-old, I'm gonna be just as fast as him. What? Oh, we're back checking now. Cool. I'm gonna do that now too.
He's improving into his bag of. He's like, oh yeah, I'll get better at this, and I'll still be a stud.
Oh my god, I love it.
We'll see what happens in that Keith front. It's inevitable. I think it's inevitable at this point, especially if he's willing to maybe waive his no move clause. So, I do want to. I mean, do you have anything to add, Jordan? Sorry.
I mean, the only thing I would really add is this. I don't know if Edmonton is for sure the team he's going to. It, like you guys said, it makes sense. My only question is, if Edmonton is the team that he goes to, what do they have aside from draft picks that they can really volunteer to part with that's of value? Because we know it's not the forward position. They've got like great centermen, but they don't have a bunch of like spare wingers sitting around to trade away. And I don't think they're going to trade a defenseman away, obviously, for Keith. The idea is if Keith steps in, he improves your blue line. So they don't really have any like pieces at the blue line who they can say, you're gone and we're bringing this guy in who's cheaper. I feel like they've got to trade you draft picks.
I was gonna say, I think they've got to do draft picks. And like the problem is we are crowded. We've got so many forwards. We've got so many defensemen. They don't have a goalie that they would want it, that what they would give us that we'd want. I think that draft picks makes the most sense. And that's why it's like eat a little salary, give him a top 4 defenseman. We get a nice draft pick, better than losing him to Seattle.
I would take Dylan Holloway, the guy that I wanted last year.
That's right. I think we both were going for Holloway.
I
forgot that Edmonton got him.
Yeah, I would take Dylan Holloway in a heartbeat.
All right, yeah, I'm good. I'd take Holloway.
Holloway in a 3rd rounders, done deal. See you, Keith. No, I mean, but
how quickly?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think obviously, like I said, Caleb Jones is going to be probably one of the names involved.
I can see that
because the Hawks are kicking the tires and Seth Jones. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be a process. We still got a couple weeks here until the final just ended. We'll get into that at the end of the show. We still got a couple weeks till the offseason officially starts. So the next league year officially starts. But yeah, bittersweet news, I guess. So with Toews and Keith, I did want to just quickly get into. I know I missed a couple episodes. As for the Blackhawks situation going on right now, everybody knows the sexual assault with Brad Aldrich, right? That's his name. Yeah, I mean, just it's awful news. It's awful. The fact that the higher ups knew about it, that everybody inside the organization knew about it, wasn't reported. And every day, as more news is reported, it's just getting worse and worse for the Blackhawks. And at this point, everybody wants to say, like, they want to blame players who, like, the players thought the higher ups were going to handle it.
Yeah.
And I think everybody inside that front office around that's still around, get them out. Like, they have no business being here. Like, that's a felony. It's a felony. It's a disgusting crime. It's the fact that Brad Aldrich was allowed to go work with younger kids, 17 and under. It's disgusting. And the fact that the Blackhawks wrote him a letter of recommendation and then refused a warrant a couple of years ago, or many years ago. And now they're doing their own personal investigation. And it's just anybody involved in this, I don't care if it's someone on another team, someone still in the organization, they should be punished. They shouldn't be allowed to be in this league. It's disgusting. And yeah, it frustrates me that, our glory days are kind of tainted now.
Yep. There will always be this mark now. And yeah, I made my piece. I said all my stuff an episode or two ago.
Yeah.
So I don't want to rehash that on my end. But the one thing I do want to say is, like, Toews in his interview took, some personal offense to, like, hey, I know people are saying, oh, everybody knew about it. Everybody in the locker room knew about it. He goes, that's not true. People might have heard, like, whispers. He's like, I didn't find out until the start of the next season, or like when he was gone. Like, and even if the team knew, and even if lower level people knew, that's like telling employees, like, you should, that's like holding employees accountable if their boss is doing something, like that. It's not on the players. Like you said, Nick, the players were told and were under the belief that it was being handled by management. It was being reported to management. All of a sudden the guy's gone and you go, oh, I guess it was handled. I don't know. You're an employee of this organization. I don't hold the team or the players accountable in any way, shape or form. This is on the people in power that had a chance to do the right thing and failed to, and in turn let worse things even continue to happen from a bad situation. So I'm with you 100%. I think it's vile. I think that some investigation has to be real. That's where I stand.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, everyone here is going to agree. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's unacceptable. This should have been handled by upper management. You let it slide. No, this needed to be handled by management as soon as it came to be light. Like,
and it's such an easy situation to do the right thing.
That's the thing. Like, someone says, hey, this is going on. You know what you do? You go straight to the cops and say, hey, this is going on.
And they would have looked fantastic. If you're McDonough, who's all about PR, you say, yes, this monster was allowed to be in our organization until it was brought to light. And the minute it was brought to light, we solved it. We took care of it. That was not they were given the easy situation, and they said no. Let's just hide it. Let's sweep it under the rug. It goes against so many codes of ethics and compliance, and it's just so many violations rolled into one that I get. Yeah, no, it's awful.
We can move on to an interesting piece of news that actually just developed while we were talking.
Please.
Oh, I know what this is, and I hate it.
The Stanley Cup
Hate it
has
so
been
much.
awarded to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who win tonight 1-0 over the Montreal Canadiens.
Congrats,
I'm so sorry, Carey Price.
I guess congrats to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they're that good. Like, listen, I'll give credit where credit is due. They're that good. They are Vasilevsky is a brilliant goalie. They have an all-star defensive unit. They've got forwards that it doesn't matter if two of their forwards go dry, others will score. They are that good of a team. But man, I didn't want them to get back-to-backs. I don't, even though it's legal, I'm not crazy about the whole like 18 mil over the cap thing. Like, it's legal, it's legitimate. I don't like it. Jordan, we talked about how I think that there needs to be a rule that a player needs to play in at least one regular season game to be eligible for the playoffs. That's all I care about, and I can rest easy. But I don't know. I got a bad taste in my mouth with it, and I was really rooting for Carey Price.
I mean, what an incredible run by the Habs, though. I mean,
100%. That's yep.
They brought in their interim coach.
Yeah.
I can't even say his name.
It's yeah.
Descharm. That's a butchered pronouncing.
I know I'm gonna butcher it. Congrats to not Claude Julien.
Yeah, I mean, incredible run by the Habs. Obviously the Maple Leafs were the favorites coming out. Just the Canadian division, and then the Habs continue
That'll
to
learn them.
shock. But I think I said Lightning in 5. This doesn't surprise me one bit. Vasilevsky, this is his 5th straight series clinching shutout. Guy is just incredible. He announced Conn Smythe tonight. Fitting. I mean, he's just an unreal.
Was it Vasilevsky that they gave Conn Smythe? Okay, yeah. I knew it was between him and Point.
Yeah, it had to be. Kucherov started lighting up too. I mean, it's just
that's exactly it.
Their whole lineup star-studded talent, and yeah, no surprise. Tampa Bay does it again. I mean, thank God the Blackhawks did something about it in 2015.
100%. Yep, we stole it from them.
Yeah,
because we shouldn't have won that. Not the limping into the 2015 finals.
Yeah. But goddamn, another season gone.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning are back-to-back champions. Pat Maroon is a 3-in-a-row Stanley Cup champion.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the blue. Wait.
Yeah, Blues, Lightning, Lightning. So, man, you hate these teams now, but looking back on it in a couple of years, it's like, wow, that team was.
100%. Like, once enough time has faded that I'm not mad anymore. It's like Pittsburgh. I look at Pittsburgh's teams and I'm like, dang, those were really, I get it. Like, that's phenomenal. You had Phil the Thrill on the third line. Like, okay, cool. And that's looking at Tampa. We're going to look back and be like, this was the stupidest good lineup that I could even imagine. But yeah, I'm really proud of the Canadians. They shouldn't by any rights have been there in a lot of people's eyes, but like, they beat Toronto. They swept Winnipeg. They beat Vegas. Like, if that doesn't give them a right to be there, they shouldn't have won then. They earned it.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely did. And sour taste in the mouth, though. Tampa Bay.
I'm just glad it wasn't a sweep.
Yeah, it was nice that it wasn't a sweep. The Canadians held on. Tampa Bay got to win it in front of their home crowd again.
As if Tampa Bay needs any more success right now.
I mean, they're about to get drilled by a hurricane here soon. So I guess this is.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. They can have Tom Brady. They can have Kucherov.
Yeah, right. I can't wait for Tom Brady to get somehow all this credit. Like, oh, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady.
Brady's secret stuff.
Yeah. Oh, God. That's what also annoys me. Thank God he lost that golf match yesterday. But no, honestly, congrats to the Lightning. It's always, now the fun part begins, and what might be some of our favorite parts is the off season.
I love it.
We got a lot coming up for the content with that. So yeah, I mean, I guess congrats to Lightning. What a kick in the balls for Stevie Y.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say I hate this win.
All right, here he comes, untethered.
I hate this win for so many reasons. One, the whole cap circumvention thing. Everyone was like, "Oh, the Blackhawks did it in 2015, so this is all right." No, the Blackhawks did not do it $18 million. They did it like what, 5 or 7?
And Patrick Kane played for 90% of the season and got his collarbone broken. And he came back way sooner than he should have to start the playoffs. Like
Kucherov waited to get surgery.
Yeah, that's Kane got ran. That's a whole different. Yes.
Jordan, continue on. Rant away.
Go ahead.
All right. The other thing I hate about this cap circumvention, because it all ties to itself. The cap circumvention let them get players this season who realistically they should not have had, and let them be stupid deep for the playoffs. Would you have liked to have had Kucherov for your whole season? Yeah, sure. I don't think any team in the league is gonna be like, no, we don't want Kucherov. But having that money not on your books kind of lets you go get some pieces you should not have had. The other thing I don't like about this cup is I've seen people saying, see, Yzerman wasn't the architect to actually win Tampa this cup. He's been gone for both of their cups. Anybody who actually looks at this Lightning roster and really looks at all of the players on it, Steve Yzerman's fingerprints are all over this club, and I mean all over them.
I mean, granted, Brisbois. Yeah, he made those extra additions of Barclay Goodrow, Pat Maroon, Ryan McDonough, Jan Ruda, right?
Ruda was,
Ruda. Oh, yeah, what a name. I'm blanking on one. Blake Coleman.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, Brisbois, he did that, but yeah, Stevie Y. This is Stevie Y's team still. Like, this is his core. Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov, Andrei Vasilevsky, Mikhail Sergachev, Victor Hedman, and the list goes on and on.
Steven Stamkos.
Yeah, Steven Stamkos. list goes on and on. This is his team, and he still deserves credit, because this is his core. This is what he built, and granted, Brisbois made some nice additions to get this team over the hump. But if
that core wasn't there, there wouldn't be additions to make.
This core was inevitably due.
Like, the thing is, I remember when they picked Vasilevsky, people were giving him just mad crap about taking a goalie in the first round that early.
And then it's him.
Yeah, and it's a Vezina caliber goaltender who wins you a Conn Smythe. Like, I don't know, seems like an okay first round draft pick.
Yeah, I would say.
Or, Nikita Kucherov, he was a second rounder, right?
No, I think he was late first. I think he was like 27.
Or no, who was the second rounder? It was the draft that they hit the 3 people all on.
Tyler Johnson was third.
I think Palat was the first, and then Kucherov was the second.
I don't know, but regardless,
it doesn't matter.
Triplets draft.
And that line was around when they faced us in 2015. Like, them and Stamkos and Hedman, like, they were there. The frame was there, and we knew then in 2015, like, dang, this is a really good team.
It just, I don't know. Like, I'm happy for Tampa that their fan base is getting to see a cup, but I'm a big fan of spirit of the rules, not letter of the rules. And the cap circumvention, for me, as much as I know people are going to hate it, to me, it puts an asterisk by this cup for me. I don't know.
I don't know. I think I've always been of the letter of it ain't illegal. They didn't say I couldn't do it.
It's not now. After this season, I wouldn't be shocked if some rules are changed.
Next GM's governor's meeting, like, yeah, there's gonna be some sort of catch in place to like, hey,
Yeah.
the Kucherov rule, we can't have this happen again, right?
Like, this is obviously bullshit here, guys.
Yeah, we all know, we get it. Props to you for finding the sweet spot. We're gonna seal that up now.
Yeah. Enjoy this back to back because that's not happening again.
Yeah, no, because now you've actually got to like find a room for everyone.
Can you imagine that? Like with them winning back to backs now, all of those guys who are due up for contracts soon, their cap hits have just gotten that much more high.
Oh yeah. Well, and they're gonna go to teams where the teams will overpay them, and which I will say, I hate giving Pittsburgh any credit, but if they didn't do back-to-back cups legitimately the right way, driven by their core and supplementing with like additions and whatnot, I hate that they repeated, but this repeat puts that repeat in a whole new light. Maybe I'm alone in this, but do you know what I mean?
No, I agree. Pittsburgh's repeat to me was infinitely more impressive because they did it all with the same core and they lost guys after the first cup.
Yeah.
Whereas Tampa Bay really didn't.
Thank God that we took that from them in 2015 because they'd be sitting on 3 cups in like 10 years or something like that. And I hate that idea.
Yeah, they'd be in our position.
Yep. No, thank you.
I guess we got one more actually pretty big news.
You talking about the trade?
Potential, the request of a trade. Oh, 2 more. Sorry. Yeah. 2 more.
Yeah, there are 2 pieces of actual league news. Vladimir Tarasenko.
Oh yeah, that
Apparently asking for a trade from the St. Louis Blues, the superstar who has just been having weird injury history the past couple of years, but when he is on his game is one of the elite wingers in the NHL, and he's one of those highlight reel guys all the time.
Yeah, Hawks killer for sure too. I mean, it seems like every time we play him, Tarasenko always finds a way to score a big goal.
I'd love him out of the Central.
Yeah, see ya. Get out.
Send him to the Rangers.
Go to the LA.
I think.
Yeah, Eastern Conference would be preferable because he's got. I mean, he's only got 2 more years left until he's an unrestricted free agent.
God, could you imagine a first line of Panarin, Zibanejad, and Tarasenko? Rangers, baby, let's do it.
Oh, I mean, they got the prospects on load too.
Yeah,
I think they would gladly part with Kako and win now with Tarasenko.
Yeah, I mean, because they've got Lafreniere, so like, would I like to see Kako continue to grow? Yeah, definitely. But like, yeah, if they could pick up Tarasenko and they could theoretically have the cap to do it.
And then who's it from Nashville who got traded?
The Arvidsson trade?
Victor Arvidsson.
Victor Arvidsson goes to the LA Kings in exchange for, what was it, 2nd round, I believe?
Second this year, 3rd round next year.
Yeah, second.
It's a good move.
Unbelievable move for the Kings. This is a guy, that I always, the type of guy I always wanted the Hawks, a guy that's going to score 20 to 30 goals every year, plays a 2-way game. Basically a poor man's Marian Hossa.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And he's on a very reasonable contract too. This is a complete expansion draft type of move. Like, hey, we got to get something for him or else we're going to lose him for nothing.
Well, I guess Poyle was being interviewed, the Nashville GM, and he was saying like, yeah, I was talking with Francis, and he was basically like, you do realize we're going to take Arvidsson, you know that, just as a heads up. And he's like, we wanted to trade it. We wanted to get something for him. So now instead of losing him to Seattle for nothing, we've got 2 picks.
I think this is a signal from the Kings, though, that the Kings might have something in the talks with Seattle, because you don't go pick up a guy like Arvidsson and then not have a protection slot ready for him. Like,
that said, though, a lot of their guys that are worth protecting are on ELCs ELCs.
Because, like, obviously Seattle's not going to take Byfield. You know the Kings are going to protect Kopitar. They're going to protect Doughty. They're going to protect
who else?
They're going to protect Quick.
They have. I mean, they have to. He's their like.
But like of the players that LA has available for Seattle to take,
No one.
Arvidsson slots in. That takes another slot from them.
Maybe Dustin Brown, but I think that they would leave Dustin Brown open, especially after the fact that he had a really solid year. I don't think that. I think most of the guys that we're thinking, like Turcotte, is going to be protected ELC.
Yeah, it's LC.
I think that they're going to have the protection space. I think that most of the guys are either no movement clauses, and there's only like 1 or 2 or 3 of them left, or they're kids.
All right, just a second, fellas. I got an idea. This is a 3D chess move. All right.
All right.
The second rounder goes to the Kings to protect Arvidsson. Arvidsson gets protected by the Kings. Once the draft is over, they trade him back to the Predators for that same pick and an extra pick.
Can you do that? Can you hide players?
I don't see why you can't.
I don't see why the Kings would want to do that. Like
They're going to pick up extra picks from Nashville.
I don't know, but you got a prospect full deep, and you get a guy like Arvidsson who's just.
But are the Kings trying to win now, though? That's the thing.
I would if I've got Doughty's on like a 7-year contract, so and he ain't getting better. So you've got Doughty and you've got Kopitar that are still like locked up to a 10 mil and like an 11 something mil contract. You've got 1 or 2 years left of Quick. If you can map that, if you can time that out with Byfield, Turcotte, Arvid, a couple of them, and make one more run.
Kaliev's there too. Arthur Kaliev.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, they could be good.
They got pieces, man. They got pieces. And it's just like they're an aging core, and it wouldn't shock me if maybe not this upcoming season, but next season they're a team like Montreal that's kind of just going to grit and grind their way through, and they got these young guys and these old Grizzly vets that are going to find a way to guide this team. They may have one last playoff, not a cup run.
I don't think they've got another cup run in this core, but I think they do have another playoff run in them.
They do, and I think it's coming up quicker just because between them and the Rangers, they have the 2 deepest. Them and the Rangers. Maybe you put the Wild up there too. They got the 2 deepest prospect farm systems, I guess, in hockey. So it's exciting times to be a Kings fan because Victor Arvidsson's a hell of a player, guys. He could put up 60 to 70 points easily. Put up a guy with like as creative as Turcotte too.
I mean, the Kings do have some pieces. They've got pieces. I do think if they go for it though, they're banking pretty hard on the young kids contributing. That's kind of a thing though.
That's what Montreal did.
This is not even considering that they are also on Eichel watch too.
I don't even want to get into Eichel watch.
Yeah,
I feel like we should just stop reporting on Eichel watch until something finally happens at this
Remember
point.
our obsession with Jesse Puljujärvi two years ago?
I mean, how do you not? You love the pool party. Yeah, absolutely.
Before COVID, it was just like, what's going on with Puljujärvi now? Oh, he wants out of Edmonton. Oh, he's going to the SHL. Oh, he's back with Edmonton. Oh, he's going back to this. It's just like it's gonna be Eichel watch for a while.
Yep.
I don't know. I want Eichel watch to be over. I want to see what happens.
I don't.
When he's on the Canes.
As much as I love him, I don't want to give up as much as they want.
Again, we talked about this before. I don't think that I don't think Eichel would help us. Not with where we're at right now.
No.
We're not one Eichel away.
No, we are a couple Eichels away.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I'm looking at the schedule. I think that's pretty much everything that we have on the docket for tonight. For everybody who's watching, we appreciate y'all tuning in and watching and listening to the show. At the end of the day, this is a podcast. It's by fans for fans. There's no corporate sponsorship or anything like that. So you get all the unfiltered opinions, all the hot takes.
Hottest of takes.
Exactly.
If you enjoyed what you heard or are watching, feel free to check us out on any of our social channels. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on SoundCloud. We're on Apple Podcasts, Facebook. There are ample ways to get in touch with the show. Feel free to send us a message, a tweet, a comment, whatever you want to
DM.
choose to get in contact with us. We always love engaging and interacting with you guys on the show. Every once in a while, somebody will give us like a fun question to talk about on the show or a fun topic idea to talk about. So if you want to do it, go ahead and send something like that in. It's about to be the off season anyway, so there's not going to be much to talk about. Give us something fun to talk about, please. Like,
Absolutely.
Let's get wild.
just something to do. Please send us questions or comments or topics or something. But again, that's it for the show. As always, thank you guys again for tuning in. For your host, Jordan Linscott, and for my co-hosts, Tim Stompanato and Nicola Page. This has been another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. You guys take care, stay safe. And in the meantime and in between time, hockey season is over. You guys have a good evening.
Congrats, Tampa.